Welcome guys to another interesting session where we are going to look at the question 21, 22 and 23 for the 2023 mathematics paper 1 for the internals. So we've done question 1 up to question 20, so this is just the completion. Please guys, you need to start studying as soon as possible. Please make sure that you start practicing these questions, because the more you practice, the better you become at that particular thing. Don't wait for maybe the exams to come for you to start studying. So make sure that you start studying. You have to take your school as seriously as if you are writing your exams tomorrow. Right, so let's look at the first question. We have write the three inequalities that define the unshaded region R. So we have the unshaded. So the whole thing is about it. There is a region that is unshaded. We want to now find the three inequalities that describes, right? So the unshaded is this region. So this is the region that we want. Now, as we can see, we have three lines, and each line represents an inequality. And you can start with any inequality of your choice. But I think with me, I prefer starting with the one cutting one axis to those that cuts two axes. So this will be my first inequality, then the second inequality, my third inequality. So to answer this question, where you have just cutting at one axis, so since it's cutting the y, you write letter y. Then as we can see, it is cutting the y at 6, so you write 6. From there, we can see that the upper part is shaded. So if the upper is shaded, then the lower is what we want. Now, according to linear programming, the upper is greater if you have a vertical line. Then here is less. So we want the less region. So we need to use the symbol less than or equal to. So this one only represents if the region of consideration is less. Now we move on to inequality number 2. So for inequality number 2, we have a slanting line. So I'm going to put some letters. So I'm going to call this is point A, this is point B, and here is point C. Now in a case like this one, we can see that A, B, and C are all lie on the same line. So you can choose any 2 points of your choice. You're going to have the same answer. If I want, I can say 0, 0 and 2, If I want 0, 0 and 6, or 2, 2 and 6, 6, I'm going to get the same answer. So I'm going to use 2, 2 and 6, 6. So what are we supposed to do here? We need to find the gradient. So I'm going to say my x1, x2, then y1, y2. So the formula to find the gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So you just have to substitute. So the y2 is 6, the y1 is 2, over the x2 is also 6, minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4, over 4, giving me my gradient of 1. So if the gradient is 1, and if the x value is equal to the y value, the equation will be y is equal to x. What do we mean by this? So I'm going to use now the equation of the straight line, which is given by y minus y1 is equal to gradient, open brackets, x subtracted x1. So I can use n pair, which is y minus y1 is 2, gradient is 1, x1 is also 2. So if we can expand, 1 multiplied by x is just x, 1 times negative 2 will give us negative 2. Now let's shift the negative 2 from the left side to the right side. So we have y is equal to x minus 2. This will change to plus 2. So we can just cancel this because 2 minus 2 is 0. That's why I said this will give you an equation like this one. Now to finalize our answer, we need to go back to our line of interest. The above is greater, and we can see that we need this region because the less is shaded. Now, if you look at the other point for this line, it's a dotted line. So if it's a dotted line, you don't have to put the equal sign. So I'll just say y is greater than x, since the region of interest is greater. Right, we move on to question, to Roman number 3, or inequality number 3. So inequality number 3, it's also similar to the inequality number 2. We need to find a gradient. So I'm going to take the coordinates here. Under the y-axis, it's 0,6. Always, it's 0, the number. Then I'm going to use 2, 2. If you want, you can use 3, 0. If you want, you can use this and this. You still get the same answer. So the same concept, we'll need to assign x1, x2, y1, y2. Then gradient is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 2 minus y1 is 4. So is 6. For some reason, I don't know why I said that. Then x2 is 2 minus 0. 2 minus 6, here we're going to have negative 4. Different side we subtract over 2. 2 into negative 4 is negative 2. So what you need to know is if a line is slanting down like this one, the gradient is negative. Then if it's moving up, the gradient must be positive. So make sure that whatever that you find must abide by these principles. Right, so now move on to y minus y1 is equal to gradient x minus x1. So if you practice more, these formulas will become part of your life. So don't struggle if you're still having issues. So y minus y1 is 6. Gradient is negative 2. X minus x1 is 0. So I'm going to expand the right side. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 0 is positive 0 or negative 0, or you can just ignore that. Then I'm going to shift negative 6 to the right side. Then I'm going to have y is equal to negative 2x plus 6. So this is our equation. But let's now look at the equation. So the above is greater, then this is less, so the less is shaded, so it's unwanted. So I need to use the greater than or equal to. So this is my final answer, or if I want, I can shift this to this side, giving me y plus 2x is greater than or equal to 6. So it's the same. Right, we move on to question 22. So under question 22, as we can see, we are dealing with two quadratic equations. So the first question, A, we are told to solve the equation x squared is equal to 4x minus 3 squared. All right, so of x squared is equal to 4 open brackets x minus 3 squared. So there are two ways in which we can solve this. If we want, we can first expand the right side, x minus 3 squared. Then after that, we are going to form a quadratic equation in which we can use the formula factorization method or completing the square. So the choice is yours. But the easiest we can use is we are going to introduce the square root on both sides. So here you introduce the square root. Why are we introducing the square root? So that we get rid of the power. So we cancel the power 2 and this cancelled. So I have x is equal to the square root of 4 will be plus or minus 2. Then x minus 3. Then this will cancel with 2. Now at this point, I need to now form two equations where I'm going to say x is equal to, I'm going first to get the plus sign. So say positive 2 x minus 3. Then the other equation will be x is equal to, I'm going to get the minus sign, minus 2 x minus 3. Then let's find the value of x for each equation. So I'm going to distribute. So positive 2 times x will just give me positive 2x, which is same as 2x. Positive 2 times negative 3, I'm getting negative 6. Let's go to this side. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Then I'm going to move the 2x to the left side, even this negative 2x to the left side. So know that this one will become negative 2x is equal to negative 6. Then for this one will be positive 2x is equal to 6. This part here we are going to subtract because of different signs. So I'm going to get negative x is equal to negative 6. Then I'm going to divide by the negative. So x is equal to 6 as my first value. Then for this one, we know that we can add x plus 2x is 3x is equal to 6. Can divide by 3, divide by 3. So the value of x is 2. So this is how we can solve. Now you don't have to be afraid of the steps or whatever. So the key is just practice, like I've said earlier. Make sure you practice more of this, then mathematics will never be an issue for you. Right, so we now move on to question B. The diagram shows the sketch of the graph of y is equal to negative 4x minus x squared, cutting the x-axis at A and B. So the first question is find the coordinates of A. Right, now first I need to arrange this equation in such a way that I want to have negative x squared at the beginning. So negative x squared followed by negative 4x is equal to, where there is y, I'm going to put 0 y, because y is equal to 0 in the x-axis. So this is the same as the x-intercept. Now at this point, we know that the coefficient of x squared is a, then for this one is b. We don't have the c. So if you don't have the c, we can use the quadratic formula, or if we want, we can use the factorization method. So it's up to you. Now, let's say if you want to use factorization, I mean a quadratic formula, how can we use this one if you don't have the c? So that formula, which is x is equal to minus b plus or minus c, the root of b squared minus 4ac. This formula, whenever you don't have a c, as long as a and b are there, you can just cancel this part. So the formula becomes x is equal to minus b plus or minus c, the square root of b squared over 2a. Right, let's solve this. So we'll say x is equal to minus, what is the value of b? So the value of b is negative 4. So even here we are going to have negative 4 squared over, what is the value of a? So the value of a is just c, negative 1. So let's see. Negative times negative is plus 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16 over negative 2. The square root of 16 is positive or minus 4 over negative 2. Then at this point I'm going to say 4 plus 4 divided by negative 2. Then the other one will be x is equal to 4 minus 4 over. So we are just changing the other one. The first one we got positive, the second one we use negative. So it's 4 minus 4 over. The denominator should not change. Make sure that. So 4 plus 4 is 8 over negative 2, which is our final answer, is negative 4. Then here we know that 4 minus 4 is 0 over negative 2, which is giving us 0. So from this, we have two coordinates. The first one is negative 4, 0. Then the other one is 0, 0. Remember, in the x-axis, the y value is 0. Now from these two pairs, let's go where there is a. A is on the negative side of this equation. So A is this one. So that is the coordinates for A. And B is 0, 0. And as you can see, it's coinciding with the information. This is the origin, which is the 0, 0. Okay. Right. Now, let's say if you don't want to use this formula, let's say you want to use factorization. So how can you use this? So I'm going to say negative x squared minus 4x is equal to, where there is y, you still have to put 0. Now for me to make this easy, I'm going to do this. I'm going to first break what I have here. So I'm going to say negative 1 times, let me use a different, so times x times x. So there is a negative 1 here times the 2x, these 2x. Here I'm going to say minus 1 times 4 times x is equal to 0. Okay, you get the picture why I'm doing like this. So number 1, I'm going to take out what is common. So what is common? Here is negative 1. Also here is negative 1. So I take out negative 1. What else is common? X is common. This is common. Also this is common. So I take x, open bracket. So you can see that negative 1 and this x is removed. So the remaining part is this x minus negative 1. So I'm going to have a plus here. 4 is equal to 0. So the first one, I'm going to get this part, I equate to 0. So negative x is equal to 0. If I divide by negative, x is equal to 0. Then the other one will be x plus 4. This part is equal to 0. So if I shift this to this side, I'm going to have x is equal to negative 4. As we can see, we are still getting the same values. We are able to get the same values as required. Right, we move on to the turning point. So the turning point is given in coordinates. So it's x, y. So we need to find the value of x. Now here you need to use this formula. X is equal to minus b over 2a. So from the equation is negative x squared minus 4 x is equal to 0. A, B. Right, so x is equal to minus, what's our b is negative 4. Then over, what's our a is negative 1. So negative times negative, on top we have 4 over negative 2. And if we divide, we are going to have x is equal to negative 2. Then let's go to our graph. The turning point is the point where the graph is turning. So at this point, so if I move, because for you to find the x value, you need to move in the x-axis. So if I draw a vertical dotted lines, the point at which I'm going to cut the x-axis represents the x value of the turning point, and it's negative because it's on the negative side, and it's correlating with the value that we have, as we can see, because we found x to be -2. So this is making sense. What of y? Y, the formula is y is equal to minus 4ac minus b squared over 4a. Now for this one, where we don't have c, you can just cancel this part. So y is equal to minus b squared over 4a. Let's solve. So y is equal to minus, remember the value of b is -4 over 4 is negative, a is -1. So negative times negative. So negative times negative will give us the, or we need to square this one. Sorry, don't multiply. So whenever you have this case, this negative will not change. Then 4 squared is 16 over 4 times -1 is -4. So that we can cancel. We have 4 into 16 is 4. So the turning point TP is -2, 4. Is this making sense? Let's go back to our graph. So at this point, if you go in the y-axis here, it's making sense because we have gotten a positive value, which is 4. Now, if you never wanted, let's say you don't want to use this formula, you can also use this. You have an equation, y is equal to -x squared minus 4x. Now, to use this equation to find the value of y, you need to have the value of x. So this -2, I'm going to substitute where there is x. So we have negative, here I'm going to have -2 squared minus 4. Here I'm going to have, so here I'm going to have -2. So we know that -2 squared is +4. So in the brackets, I'm going to have +4 times negative. So I'm going to have -4. Then negative times negative is plus. 4 times 2 is 8. And if we do some math here, we are going to have +4, which is this value. So as you can see, we are getting the same value. Now let's look at the last question. So the last question, we are given, the diagram shows the speed time graph of a car during a period of t seconds. Find the acceleration of the car during the first 8 seconds. So the acceleration of this line. So acceleration is equal to final velocity minus initial over t. So the starting point, the starting interval is known as the initial. So this is where the initial is gotten from. Then this is my final point. But to get the value, as long as it's speed, you need to use the y-axis. So the point for final is this one. So if I move parallel to the x-axis, the number that I'm having is 9. So 9 minus my initial is just a 0, since starting from the origin. What of my time? So the time from this point up to here is 8. So 9 minus 0 is 9 over 8 meters per second squared. Or if I want, 8 into 9 is 1, remainder 1 over 8 meters per second squared. You can change into a mixed fraction. Right, so after we are done finding this, let's look at the question that followed. So the question that followed is about calculating the distance covered in the first 4 seconds. So for a distance, you need to look at what type of shape are you having for that period of time. So since it's 14, I'm going to shade from 0 up to 14 so that you are able to see the shape that we have. Then from there, you need to apply the formula for the area for this one. So what shape is this one? this is a trapezium. So a trapezium, you need to find the value of a. So the value of a is this now, but when getting the value of a, you come down in the x-axis. So this is a, the difference between 8 and 14. What of the b? The b is where the trapezium is starting from up to where it's ending. So this is my b, then this is my height. So upon identifying this, you go to the formula. Distance is equal to half a plus b times the height. Distance is equal to half, what's my a? So the difference between 8 and 14, so you subtract 14 minus 80 is 6 plus c, the b is just 14 times the height is 9. So 14 plus 6 is 20 times 8, times 9. Half of this one is 10. 10 times 9 is 90. So the first part distance is 90 meters, as we can see. Right, so if this is the case, then let's look at now question, the last one. Let me first get rid of. Now for the last question, you need to be extra careful and you need to understand what they have given you. So knowing the formulas, going through past papers is not enough. There is another party that must be done by you. Like you need to move out of your comfort zone. You need to move out of your box for you to answer a certain question. If you look at the question C, they want the value of t given the average speed of the car is 7 meters. So what is the average formula? So average is equal to total distance. So we need the total distance over total time. So that's what we are going to use. Right. Now, do we have the total distance? Let's see what we can make from the given. So the total, the average we are given is 7. Total distance, remember, we have the distance for this. So it's this distance. So I'm going to call this is distance 1. Then this will be my distance 2. So the total distance will be distance 1 plus distance 2. So I'm going to say distance 1 plus distance 2 over total time. Now, let's look at this shape. So if you look at this shape, the other one, I'm going to consider this one as my trapezium. Now, this trapezium will be this distance. This one will be my A. Then this one will be my B. From here up to here will be my H. Which means that we want H. So what is the total time taken? So the total time taken is 14 plus this H that we don't have. So 14 plus H. So 7 is equal to, the distance one we have it is 90 for this party is 90. So have 90 plus the formula for trapezium, we know it's half A plus B. Now, what is my A? This is my A. So if I move here, my A is this, which is 7 plus what is my B? My B is this one. So if I move 9, what is my H? I don't have. So I'm going to say times H over, we have 14 plus H. We cross multiply. Right, so let's see what we can get from here. So 7 will multiply with 14 plus H. Then 1 will multiply with 90, which is 90 plus half of 7 plus 9 is 16 times h, right? So here I'm going to distribute 7 will multiply with 14, number 2 multiply with h. So if 7 times 14 makes your works hard, we can do this. So we can say 14 is same as 10 plus 4. It's easy to multiply a number by 10. Then plus 7 times h is 7h is equal to 90 plus half of this one is 8h. Alright, so after that, what are we going to do? 7 times 10 is 70. 7 times 4 is 28. At least these are simple numbers. 7h is equal to 90 plus 8h. We can add 70 plus 28 is 98 plus 7h is equal to 90 plus 8h. So I'm going to collect the like terms. 98 will shift to this side, then 8h will shift to this side. So I'm going to have 7h minus 8h is equal to 90 minus 98h. So we know that here we are going to have negative h. Then here I'm going to have negative 8. So I divide by negative, divide by negative. So h is equal to 8. Then after that, I'm going back to my diagram. So let me get rid of this. So from 14 up to t, there is a value of 8. So 14 plus 8, meaning at this point we have 22. T is equal to 22. So if you find this video interesting, please don't forget to share with friends and families. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.